Good morning and welcome to Bolton. I'm Joyce Stilley, the Administrative Officer for the Town of Bolton, and this is a live show done the first and the third Tuesdays of each month from 10:30 to 11 a.m. The show is rebroadcast on the second and fourth Tuesdays at the same time period. The show is a continuing effort to promote open communications within the community, and if you have an event or an organization you would like to see some PR go out about, or just have a question as to how town government operates, please contact me at the town hall and we will try to get a show on the air that covers that topic. As most of you know, I'm actually retiring after working for the town for 31 years. So my guest today is actually the new administrative officer for Bolton, Joshua Kelly. Welcome, Josh, in more ways than one.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So, Josh, first we're just going to start out. If you can just tell us a little bit about your background. I certainly know it, but to share with the folks.
Absolutely. So I am from Waterford, Connecticut. I have lived there since I was very young with my family, and I'll be moving up to Bolton in the near future. But I, in the past, have a very long history of service. That started when I was young. I was involved in the Boy Scouts, became an Eagle Scout. It's gone on through my college years, certainly, and far beyond that to the present. I graduated from Wheaton College in Massachusetts, and with a degree in political science. I more recently graduated with my master's in public administration from the University of Connecticut, right in Hartford, and I have had a wonderful opportunity to work as a volunteer, as an elected volunteer in Waterford. I've served on that town's representative town meeting, which is the legislative body there. I've also served there on the Conservation and Inland Wetlands Commission, as well as a number of different boards, other boards and committees. I am coming to Bolton now after having served in Windsor for the past about almost a year and a half, first serving as a graduate assistant during my master's program, and then thereafter as a management analyst. And I couldn't be more excited to come to Bolton. I certainly believe that I have a background, network and knowledge and skill base that I can use to bring to this position and continue the long trek up the mountain that is filling some very large shoes that are being left behind.
So most people, the question is, why Bolton?
It's a great question because it's a great community and there's so much to say about it. Bolton is... And Bolton differs a lot from the other two communities that I'm very familiar with. Waterford is what I thought was relatively small coastal community of 19,000 people. And Windsor, of course, being almost 30,000 residents just north of Hartford. And Bolton is small, it's quaint, it's beautiful, but it's so vibrant. The people that I've had the chance to meet are so excited to be here every day, to get up, to see their neighbors, to come to town hall, and to just experience life in Bolton as it is. In my opportunity or as I prepared to come to Bolton and to get to know the town a little bit more, I had the chance to stop by a number of different locations. My first stop was actually right in the library to meet some town staff. I had the chance to stop over to our place to meet Jack and Louisa and have a conversation with them about their life that they've really built here in Bolton and, of course, their business. And it's a place that's full of opportunity. And that's charming. I'm very much captivated with Bolton. It's the perfect kind of town that at least draws me in. And I can see every day when I meet new folks around town that that's exactly what's keeping everybody else right here, happy, and continuing to attract more people into town too.
And staff took the advantage of your first day to welcome you with cake and ice cream.
That's very true, yes.
Shows certainly the support that you have, and you were the unanimous choice of certainly the Board of Selectmen and has moved through that. Let's talk a little bit about the transition. People may not be aware, but this is kind of a unique opportunity that
Absolutely.
the selectmen have agreed to, and certainly I think we both will benefit from this, and the town certainly, in that you actually started work last week.
I did. Last Monday was my first day, and I'm very happy to say that I have not only the rest of this week, next week, but also most of the following week to sit down with you and to learn everything that I can in a short amount of time, and there's going to be so much more to cover too, certainly about the history of Bolton, about its residents, about past policies, all that. But to have the chance to sit down with you over these next few weeks, you're right, it's not something that happens often. Too often there are town managers and administrators who are already taking another job or who are, for one reason or another, are moving on. So this is a very unique opportunity, and I'm glad that we're taking full advantage of it.
And as part of that, many things have come up. We've tried to work our way through things, but as you've seen, you have a list of things this big, and sometimes you only get that much accomplished because things come up, which from the perspective of the transition, that's been extremely positive because those are not necessarily things that I would have taken time to go through with you. So it has actually been quite positive.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about, from your view, and certainly this could change 6 months down the road, it could change a year down the road, but some of the challenges and opportunities that you already see coming in or from the information you've seen Bolton put out so far.
Absolutely. I'll start with challenges and we'll get more positive, certainly as I go on. Some of the challenges that Bolton faces are also its opportunities, and that's difficult to parse out. Bolton's small size does make it difficult to have a sizable tax base. The thing that I heard most from residents, even before I had the chance to come in and interview and sit down with the Board of Selectmen, and through now, it's very much the taxes. Taxes are relatively high compared to other municipalities in Connecticut, some municipalities in Connecticut, I should say. And so trying to figure out ways that we can make sure that we have the tax base that we need to be able to lower those costs for our individual residents, that's going to be something that is at the top of my list of things to do. And that will be difficult. There's no fix-all. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. And that's exactly the problem that we face. And if we did have an easy solution, then it would have already been done. So that's something we'll work on. We'll continue to talk about over the next few weeks, and that I hope we can get more residents involved with and talking about as well.
And kind of tied to that is actually one of the meetings that you just attended last week.
That's right.
That we are with 3 other towns, Coventry, Tolland, and Mansfield.
That's right.
Doing a study with CERC, and I shouldn't say a study, but it's basically looking at all the plans that we have for economic development, what makes each of the towns different, what makes each of the towns the same, what's our strengths, what's our weaknesses, but how can we work together to jointly promote our towns and potentially bring in some other commercial base or share some things to cut our overall costs.
Absolutely, and there's a lot that I like about, and I'm very grateful that you've had the opportunity to jump in with these nearby towns to take on this project. First and foremost, we're going to have a list of action steps that we can take, concrete plan moving forward to make sure that we're moving in a direction. This isn't, like you said, this isn't another study. This is taking all of the studies that we've already completed and really putting them to use. So I'm really heartened to already be in my first 2 weeks on the job moving in that type of direction. But beyond that, the fact that we're able to sit down, first and foremost, sharing costs with these other towns and not taking on that burden all on our own. And that's something that I hope to continue doing in my time here, is looking for those efficiencies. But also being able to compare what's around us. What are the economic opportunities that aren't really being taken advantage of, and what can we cling on to? That's going to take a lot of community conversation. I love Bolton, certainly the way I see it now, and I know that a lot of residents do around town. So the idea of change is something that we all need to come to the table and talk about. But at least knowing that there are opportunities for different directions, for continued direction, doubling down on perhaps some great things that we're already doing well. That's a lot of what this conversation's been with CERC and these other towns. And there will be several more meetings with CERC before they come up with this list of action items, and we're able to report out on it to the public. But I'm looking forward to that.
Other items you have on your list?
Yes. Well, certainly as we've talked to CERC, the questions around just viability for certain economic development. It's tough being in a town that doesn't have public access to water on a townwide basis or public access to sewer on a townwide basis. That's true in some locations up in the northern part of the town, but unfortunately, in some regards, that isn't a more widely available commodity. So in terms of economic development, that's something to take into consideration, but it's not necessarily something that's going to stop us at all. And then we have other things that are certainly on our horizon, not necessarily what I would say solely challenges, like I said, also opportunities, but we have charter revision coming up. That's going to be a community conversation about what we want the future of the town to really look like and its structure. And we also have the 300th anniversary coming up. I know that in the work that I've done in this first couple weeks, it's going to be a challenge to have town staff come together to really help that along, but it's going to be an absolutely wonderful set of events that we're putting together with the help of so many volunteers, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And that we should probably take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the town turns 300 in 2020.
That's right.
Pam Sawyer was actually a guest on my show quite a while ago now, but certainly could be a future show. But they've been trying to work on some kind of an activity per month.
That's right.
And it might not be a new activity, but it might be tied to an activity that's going on, just at least talking about the 300th as part of it. And the biggest events are certainly in October, because that is when the town was initially founded. But that will be parade and a encampment at Bolton Heritage Farm. But there's certainly going to be a lot of other activities, and we've been working over the last couple of weeks definitely on trying to follow up on some of these things and trying to push some things forward, trying to get some more commitments from some various folks. And there's still opportunities out there if people have ideas or want to step up and help with something. If they just want to volunteer, that would be great. And as part of this, you've seen in the Bolton Bulletin now the new logo for the 2020. And we are looking for articles from way back when if somebody has some historic items or pictures that we will scan and then send back to you. But trying to put together a commemorative book, and there's going to be opportunities. Even the business community, we're talking about reaching out, and perhaps you want to talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, we are still in the works, certainly on this end of things, but we're hoping to have a month, potentially spanning September 20th to October 20th, 2020, to try and find ways to celebrate and to get Bolton residents, but also individuals from outside our community to come in and really get excited about what we already have here in Bolton. We're going to be reaching out to businesses, and if you're a local business owner, I hope that you'll come in and certainly speak with us about how you can get more involved, about whether it be running specials that perhaps are themed either to the 300th or to 2020, but to find ways that we can really highlight what's already being done here in Bolton, to find ways to celebrate a way of life here, and to just really take full advantage of what this town has to offer.
And we should probably, the other big one that we will need volunteers for at all levels of ability is the April event, the Work Day,
That's right.
which is now going to be called?
I believe it's Bolster and Build in Bolton. And it's going to be a day that's full of us working, again, with volunteers to go out into the community and to really try and find projects, particularly in even homes and potentially businesses, where we can make a difference, where we can come in, and if it's something that needs to be fixed, a specific item, if it's a certain facade that needs to be painted, whatever the case might be, we can come in and do a little work to give back to our community and to help keeping Bolton looking great.
So with that, certainly that is a challenge and an opportunity for
Yes,
the
it is.
community. What else is on your list?
Well, in terms of opportunities, the simple fact that Bolton's certainly not a blank slate, but it has a lot of potential for if we want growth or if we want preservation of what we already have. And I've said a little bit earlier in our conversation, but it's really unique to be this close to a major city, like the capital city of our state, Hartford, and to be certainly as preserved as we are. We have a lot of open space here in Bolton. There are opportunities to expand that, and certainly our greenways, our bikeways help with that preservation effort and with keeping our community connected to nature and all of the natural resources that we have to offer. So in my opinion, those are great opportunities. That's the kind of atmosphere that keeps a lot of people, makes a lot of people want to move here, keeps a lot of people here. Similarly, we have certainly our wonderful school system, Blue Ribbon awarded school system. And all of these are things that we can take advantage of, whether it be through this CERC effort to try and identify economic opportunities, or as we just navigate our way forward with the Bolton as we know today. We can continue to make these choices to better ourselves, better this town for our children and hopefully their children and far beyond.
Anything else you would like to throw out there? I know one of the big challenges that you're also going to be faced with right away is certainly town hall space, given the current condition of the Notch Road Municipal Center.
That's right. And this is certainly still something that Joyce and I are having many conversations about, as well as other town staff and soon the Board of Selectmen a little bit more. But certainly the Notch Road Municipal Center is in a state where it's time to either be replaced or at least have some areas of that closed down and eventually torn down. And in order to do that, though, we need to find space for a lot of our other town departments. Our finance department, our registrars of voters are in that space right now, and we don't have a place for them. I don't know if a lot of you have been down in town hall recently, but certainly we're a little pressed to find some more space for these individuals. There have been more studies that I'll certainly be perusing through over these next few weeks to try and help guide the town forward as it makes some more concrete decisions about how it wants to move forward. But there's certainly a potential to expand Town Hall. There's also a potential to consider other locations for these facilities. And this is a conversation that I haven't had the chance to have with a lot of people.
Right.
So that's something that I'm really hoping I can do. Certainly if anybody wants to stop by Town Hall, I'd welcome any and all feedback, but through a number of different channels, including, again, our boards and commissions.
And you mentioned boards and commissions, and July 1st is when we do the appointment to all these boards and commissions. And sometimes people's lives change. They don't have the same time available as they used to. And so we do have vacancies on some of our boards and commissions.
That's right. We have vacancies on a number of those. I know off the top of my head, we have vacancies on our Economic Development Commission, the EDC. We also on our Energy Committee, on Inland Wetlands, and Conservation Commission. All of these are great ways that folks in the community can come get involved, share their opinions, make decisions, and really make an impact on this town. If you're somebody who has a vision for this town, if you're somebody who wants to leave Bolton either the way you found it or perhaps give it a little something else that you feel your kids deserve to see or any of your friends and family, then this is exactly the kind of way, in my opinion, a great way to give back and really make that impact.
And certainly should make sure that people know that all of those vacancies are listed on our town's
That's
website.
right.
And as well, there is a form right there for people to fill out if they are interested. And the process is they fill out the form. We will invite them to the next selectmen's meeting. They can come in and chat with the board about their interest, and then the Board of Selectmen takes action on their application to serve.
That's right.
And certainly, the other thing that you haven't really been involved in yet, but is moving forward, is the Sustainable Connecticut.
That's right. I've had a lot of other opportunities to be involved in Sustainable Connecticut, though. It's a wonderful program, and I don't know actually if you've had the chance to share with the audience in past shows, but Sustainable Connecticut, it's something that's being put forward actually by Eastern Connecticut State, under an umbrella of Eastern Connecticut State University, where they have come up with a list of different action items that towns can take that they can move forward, or at least, or even recognize that they've perhaps already completed and have already done some work on. And through this program, we can be recognized as a sustainable community. And that's not only environmental sustainability, but it's also economic sustainability, cultural, civic. There are a lot of different dimensions to this program. And not only can we get recognized by the state as perhaps one of these above and beyond communities, but we can also now move forward with trying to access some of the grant dollars that they're offering through the Sustainable Connecticut program. This is still something that's in development. Certainly no grant dollars can be promised at this time, but I'm always going to be looking for these opportunities to bring that money into Bolton, so that we can be more sustainable, that we can embrace what we already have here, and that we can just continue to make that all the better. So it's something that I actually helped launch in Waterford, which just signed up this past spring. And now the Board of Selectmen has approved it to move forward. And in the next 90 days, we'll be holding our first meeting of a small task force. And I'm very excited to see it move forward.
And with that, there are certainly some community members and some various boards and commissions will be represented. And Patrice Carson, who's our Director of Community Development, is the staff person who will be leading this effort, but certainly will be working close with you. And I know you're already going to a training.
That's right.
One of your very first days that you are the administrative officer.
That's right. And I'm excited to see that. That will get into some of those grant dollars a little bit more.
Yes. So let's talk about some of the other things that you see coming up.
Absolutely. Something I've had the chance now to go to my first Board of Selectmen meeting,
Yes.
And actually a committee meeting as well. And at both of those, we discussed a blight ordinance.
Correct.
So that's something that's coming down the pipe. It's something that has been now reviewed by committee, sent to the Board of Selectmen, and they'll be having a public hearing on it in the near future. You're absolutely encouraged and invited to take a look at that. Certainly the text of that ordinance will be posted online, if it isn't already, and the public hearing will be held in just a few weeks here. And
September 18th,
That's
7 p.m. at Town Hall.
That's right. And we welcome any and all feedback as the Board of Selectmen works to decide if this is something that's going to work well for Bolton and the community at large.
We actually are starting to get a little bit shorter on time, so I'll ask you for a couple minutes of closing comments.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I just want to say again that I'm so very happy to be here in Bolton. It's been a wonderful experience to come in and have the chance to get to meet staff, certainly, but also residents as they're able to come into Town Hall, as I'm able to see them around town. And I look forward, certainly, to seeing more of you at community events. I know that over the next few weekends, there are certainly several end of summer and even early fall events that will be happening around town. It's my goal to get out and see as much as I can, to meet as many people as I can. But I also encourage all of you to come into Town Hall, come say hello, or even give us a ring, so that I can get to know you a little bit more. Perhaps I can encourage you and get you involved in one of our various boards and commissions, but that I can hear a little bit more about what you care most about in this town, and how perhaps I can even help to further that for you. I also want to really thank Joyce Stilley for having me on today, for playing the role of mentor over the next few weeks as we transition. And I don't know how much you want to say about our next show.
I'll let you talk about the next show.
But I'm very excited to say that we'll actually be switching seats at the next show. I will be taking on the role of host here on this program, and Joyce next week will be my guest, and she's going to perhaps tell us a little bit about her exciting retirement plans, but also share a little bit with you about her closing thoughts as she moves on from her position here in Bolton, and the legacy that the very large legacy that she's leaving behind here in Bolton. And I'm very excited to talk to her more about that.
Excellent. So I just have a couple of closing things. Josh stole some of the thunder, but that's quite all right. As you can see, though, this was meant to be, and he's perfect for Bolton. Just a couple of things. Again, it's summertime. We're moving into hurricane season. Please, if it's oppressively hot or humid, please come visit us at any of our town facilities. Josh would love to see you at Town Hall, but stop by the library, stop by the senior center. Also, think about your preparedness as we're moving closer towards hurricane season and things are starting to develop. The next show he already talked about with you. So in closing, I just want to again thank Community Voice Channel for its continued support. And Josh, we'll see you in 2 weeks.